You notice that we never put framing up against the trimmer or jack stud to support the sill. Doesn't that seem kind of like a hack thing to do? Many of you have let me know that the answer to that is yes. Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Give a sense of scale for this wall. That is outstanding.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In this video, we're gonna go ahead and finish the last of our balloon framed walls, and I'm gonna show you how to draw out your overhang so that you can accurately locate your horizontal soffits. And we're gonna frame this little architectural detail on the front of this house. I really fought it the last time we built this house, but we got the system down. It's nice and simple, and it adds a little bit of interest. So let's just get right into it. This video is sponsored by Huber Engineered Woods, the makers of Advantech and Zip System, and Roseburg, the LVL Studs, LVL, and the floor system. It was decided the last time we built this house that it just needed something on this upper front gable. That something just became a 5.5-inch pop out.
Then I don't go blowing out the side.
You know we are huge fans of the strong tie SDWS timber screw, so I'm using an 8-inch version to attach the 6x6 to the framing underneath. Careful not to blow out. I want to hit the double kings and trimmers. After that, it's just a little roof. I think it's a 412. I cut the 2x12s horizontally, 5/4 by 8 LP smart side trim. This is how we stack the edges. Some of you won't like it. I couldn't care less. Zip on the top. We're going to tape it all. And there's a little bit of architectural interest. Once the house is sided, it actually does make a little bit of a difference. And this is about the easiest way to do it for me. All of this takes a lot of planning, but more specifically, how do we calculate the height of our overhangs?
Okay, so my roof slope is just a tick less than 30 degrees. 2211. 2211/16 rise, 29.78 pitch. Run 39 5/8. Where did my third arm come from? So I am going to scribe 5.5 lines representing my wall and the rafter. My heel stand is 13.
The heel stand or height above plate is simply the vertical measurement as a truss or rafter crosses the plate. So an 11 7/8 I joist on this roof slope, 13 11/16 vertical.
And 11/16. Okay, top plates. And let's go sheathing. We're going to go back. We're going to split the plate. Okay, so from framing, I have 16-inch soffit plus 1/2 inch plus 1/4 for slop. So that would be 16 3/4 from framing. Outside of subfascia, 1.5 inch subfascia. It's going to be 2x6. What I'm going to do is transfer that, so I'm about 10 1/4. Okay. Yeah, that'd be 5.5. 2x6, and then we're going to add 1 inch for fascia. This part doesn't really matter. 7 1/4 for the fascia. Mark. Okay, fascia and 2x6. This is where the soffit will nail to. So that is 4 3/4. Just a little under.
That line represents the top of the soffit material, which is about 3/8 thick.
It's about 3/8, so let's just call it this guy. Okay. What that does for our framing, 1.5 inch. Okay, so this is our roof section. 13 11/16 heel stand. I have 16-inch soffit plus 1/4 plus 1/2, so this is
16 3/4.
2x6 subfascia planes with the roof. The underside of that determines square back where this 2x4 nails to the wall, and we're just about 1.5 inches.
In order to figure out this whole intersection, there's a few things that I need to know. I need to know the slope of the roof. I need to know the vertical distance of the roof at the edge of the wall, and I need to know my soffit depth. Let's break this down one at a time. This is an 11 7/8 I-joist. I have a vertical distance at the edge of the wall of 13 11/16. That is simply based on I have full depth of my I-joist sitting on a bevel strip down here. 11 7/8 is my run, my roof slope. I enter that and I click diagonal, and that gives me the vertical distance. This height then is exactly what our rake wall needs to be where it intersects with the eaves. So there would be the outside corner, and this is our height. I also need to know what my overhang distance is. This is LP soffit board. It is 16 inch by 16 foot long. That would be 16 inches from the outside of my backing, so to speak, to the backside of this backing. So 16 inches plus 1/2 inch for the zip wall sheathing. And then I add 1/4 because I just like some slop. Our overhang depth then is from the outside of the subfascia, then touching the wall. So it's 16 3/4. The top of this soffit board here then represents the underside of this 2x. Now the mistake that I made is that we needed some extra room here, and so we had to buzz this out on all of them. That was stupid on my part. So what I'll do on the next time we build this house is I'm going to make this overhang 24 inches, and that will give us enough height that we don't have to cut this down. So basically what it's going to do is going to lower the whole overhang just a couple of inches. Now the last thing I just want to point out is notice that the top of the roof plane extends through the top of the subfascia to the top of the fascia board. And you can see that right here. Then this whole plane is flush. Now you can see the overhang detail over here that our roof sheathing is going to nail right into our rake wall. There's no hinge joint, and then that's full height all the way to the ground. Insanely strong. Then of course you probably saw it. Hey, look at that. We cut in lookouts. Look out! Incidentally, this is 12-inch soffit board here. And so off of our roof sheathing, it's 12 1/4 from the outside, because I add the slop, to this overhang. And these are 16-foot lengths. I know there's a lot of lines. 16-foot lengths, that's what helps to keep the overhang stiff.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the video, everybody. I hope you enjoy it. I certainly have fun making it. Here, it was better the first time. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching the video. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and then send it to everybody that you know. Okay, so YouTube is offering something new. It's like an affiliate shopping thing. So what you're gonna see is I'm gonna tag products that we use. You can click on those, you can buy them. It's all gonna take you to Acme, most likely. And that's where I have the whole list of my tools. Because it's an affiliate thing, if you buy, I get a small percentage of that. That's how I support the channel. Of course, feel no obligation to do that, but I did want to explain that if you click the little shopping thing or the products as they pop up, that's how that all works. So let's get back to the video. It's gonna be pretty tall. I wonder if we'll see what the chain looks like. Kind of wonder if we shouldn't choke it up like halfway. Let's choke it up farther. Yeah, we want to grab like those. So it's that length, and I think if we're within a couple. Okay. And then you're kind of in a pinch point. I think I would, I'm coming this way as soon as it gets up a little bit. We might break this loose, we'll see. There's probably not very many nails in it.
If you haven't watched the previous videos, let me just set the stage here. Notice the wall in the background is a 2-story wall. So it's 9-foot ceilings on the main floor, basically 12 inches of floor, and then an 8-foot wall upstairs. This is the front wall, you can see it there. It's the same height plus the gable. Whenever you're lifting walls, go up nice and slow until the rigging takes the tension, and then it pops off the floor, because we toenail it to the floor in order to keep it nice and square and parallel. From the previous video, we used Roseburg Rigid Lamb LVL Studs for this house. I do not recommend using them for everything, but I do recommend using them for 2-story balloon framed walls. They are straight and stiff. And you can see how stiff it is right there. So now at this stage, we go ahead and we pop, if we can, If we can get to access safely, we pop all those nails loose or we beat them flat. Otherwise, they're going to be in the way when we bring the next wall in and we tighten them.
Okay, I was thinking that we were getting close.
As we go through this and the next lift, notice my signaling and how quickly Kyle responds. He's not just watching the signal, but he's reading my body language. And incidentally, we've modified signals so that they can be used one-handed. As long as we know what they are, we can be safe.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, Brandon, is kind of keep my foot here. Let's tilt down just a teeny bit. Okay, so we still have a little bit of bounce. We gotta go that way, can we? Nope, okay. I should have known. Let's go up just a little bit. We're gonna make your corner the reference. I'm basically perfect on the line. I'm gonna see if it'll stay. Okay, we can get in the corner. I just want to see how close we are. Oh man, dude, that is like, you gotta be kidding me. That is money. So that's gonna have to come back a hair, but I'm gonna go for it for now. This guy is probably a little underpowered with that battery. But see, we're like an eighth off the line if you look straight down. Can you kick a little pressure out? Okay, your side's not gonna go. I think we'll be okay. There we go. Because we can always move these. So what I want to do, Brandon, and we'll just see how easy this is. It's probably not easy. Oh, that's not so bad. So what I need to do here, oh, I think we're good, is I need to pull this guy back. If he leans that way just a little bit, I'm gonna hop down. I think basically I can't do both at once. Just a little bit. Yeah, see now that's nice and tight. And then I can pull the other one in. All right, so I don't want to get too many in because it'll be hard to do the top. How are we going to get the rigging down? Okay, so now I think if we grab a 20-footer, we'll brace it.
Plumbing tall walls with a laser just means that we go out 4 inches, laser dot goes up, then we're going to measure 4 inches off of framing as high as we can get to it. The laser dot then is perfectly parallel to the wall by 4 inches.
Nice driving, dude. All right, come my way, 3/4. Keep coming, 1/4. Right there. Yeah, it's an 1/8 off. I could live with it. I could live with it. Yeah. Could probably put one more in. Okay, let me just get this out of our hair.
That was pretty uneventful. We like it when it's uneventful. Now, my job is, while they're getting the next wall ready to go, which is going to land right there where the other nail gun is. We had one with 8s, one with 10s. These are the high pressure Max HN90F, by the way. I like to nail along the rim because you can see that I have 1.5 inch LVL rim. So the nail through the bottom plate connection into that means that nothing's ever going to squeak. If you nail in between or you don't hit good framing underneath and you only hit subfloor, you are very likely to get creaking sounds over the years. And it's okay to put a few more nails in this. Stop being cheap. Stop being cheap. So I'm generally nailing next to the studs, which is over a joist, and then, I don't know, like 6 inches on center. Don't forget, this is 24-inch on center framing. Oh, and there's a cripple stud missing on the end of that sill. Let's revisit that later.
I think that's locked there. And that's right, nice and tight in the middle, do you think? It should be. I mean, I'm measuring off the corner correctly.
I guess it's kind of hard to see because of the zip, but it doesn't look, the zip looks nice and even filled up.
I should have a 2-inch reveal and I got one.
Okay.
So I think we're good.
Yeah.
If we aren't, we'll just pull the screw. Okay. Boy, I really feel like we're talking almost nothing. If I fall, you can have my hammer. Well, I mean, if I don't live, that wouldn't be fair. All right, we are splitting 16ths. Yeah, if we could have got that wall. So what we're looking at, instead of 13.11, we're like 13.7. So is that a quarter? That's not bad.
Front gable's up. Let's go ahead and attach it at the top. You saw that we did it at the bottom and at the middle. We're gonna go ahead and stitch up the sheathing. All of this is so that we can take some bracing down, make room, and it's just safer. Obviously, I would prefer to just do this all at once, you know, get to each of the walls, lift them, etc. But it's better to just be safe. That is the Cornerstone Industries basket we bought about 3 years ago. It is OSHA approved or OSHA legal. I don't know how to say any of that stuff. Go check out their website. It's linked in the description below. But it's been awesome for us.
Real quick, let me explain. If you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you notice that we never put framing up against the trimmer or jack stud to support the sill. Doesn't that seem kind of like a hack thing to do? Many of you have let me know that the answer to that is yes. Ironically, engineers email me and they say, no, you're good to go, including our engineer. We leave this out because it makes more room for insulation. We typically toenail underneath with 2 nails. Sometimes we'll nail back here just to tighten things up. We do save a tiny bit on labor, not really that much. If we're already cutting cripple studs, cut another one, blast it on, put some nails in the top. We're not saving a lot of labor. Just think more holistically. If I save this, that's 2 on every window. If there's 20 windows, that's 40 cripples. You start to add up, it's sizable. That's for one house. Now multiply it times 10 houses, 100 houses, 10,000 houses, right? That's a lot more insulation. So all we're trying to do is take framing out of our wall that doesn't need to be there structurally and will have no negative effect cosmetically, like drywall cracks, etc. We also do not double our sill for the trim carpenter. I, as the framer, in-house framer, will ask our trim carpenters, do you want more backing? No. If you are a trim carpenter and you want more, good for you. Other trim carpenters don't need it, and so that's why we leave it out. What about the weight of your window? Well, on this house, we're going to be using Innotek windows. They're triple pane European style windows that are heavier than your windows. Sorry. But here's how engineering works and physics work. Physics with a PH. The sill is carrying the weight of the window, and these will be heavy windows, but this sill is only carrying the weight of the window from half of this distance, which is about here.
So right here in the middle, we have an example of a simple supported beam. This comes from the Journal of Light Construction. So we have a beam that has a support on each end, and the load on top is consistent, it's evenly distributed. We call it a uniform load. What that means is that each column only sees 1/2 the load that the beam itself, quote unquote, sees. How does that apply to this window? Well, if we say that this windowsill is a beam and there's no supports in the middle, then that means 1/2 of the total weight of the window is then held by the connection at each end. So let's say that this cripple stud now is dead center. Now how much load does each end meet? Again, it would be 1/2 the distance from the support to the support or connection. Same thing over here. What that means is that this connection, as far as gravity loads from the windows, really is not as important as we thought it was, because it takes a very small percentage of the total gravity load. And if you look over here, oftentimes our cripples are even closer to the edge, and now they're basically seeing nothing for all intensive purposes. Generally speaking then, we can get rid of that cripple stud when it comes to gravity loads. But now what about wind loads? Well, think of your wall as a giant sail. We come in and we poke holes in it where the windows go. That means that these studs no longer go continuous top to bottom, and that in a sense is a weak point when it comes to a wind load. The code actually tells us that based on the width of the window, and of course the wind exposure, we have to double or triple the king studs. So think of that as reinforcing the opening to resist the wind load. If we put a cripple stud here and then it's nailed and it's nailed, that's not really adding a whole lot of strength. In most cases, we can accomplish that same goal and leave that cripple stud out when we attach our wood structural panel. In this case, we're using the 7/16 Structural 1 zip panel. That's a wood structural panel. That's what we use for our shear walls. When we attach that to this wall, and then we nail it around the perimeter, just like we nail our edge nailing on any shear wall, which the maximum nail spacing would be 6 inches on center or tighter. Now this connection right here can't be looked at in isolation, but now it is part of a system. This connection here is just not as critical as everyone thinks that it is. Our engineer is okay with us doing exactly this. Here is an image from the code. That shows that it's not there. And if we really are concerned about it, then we would just put a screw in from this side, a structural screw. Your engineer might even want you to put like an A35 right here. Ours does not.
That's why we don't need those here for the weight. I'm 20.5. So this connection right here is only holding the last 10.25 inches. Okay? So a couple toenails is more than enough to hold the weight. Real quick though, I'm gonna hop on this and you're gonna see there's no flexing. I'm even gonna leave my tool bags on. Always knock the dirt off your feet. By the way, these are the Nick's handmade boots, the Wood Butcher Awesome Framers Edition. It neither moved nor creaked.
I know. It's a lot of lifting of tall walls. This is the last of the balloon framed walls. Just gonna get a bunch of angles. The soffits in it, notice how stiff that wall stays. Nothing too special about this except that it bridged across the front entry. There's actually going to be a recess there for the front door. And also notice there that the soffit is held back so that it receives the other soffit right there at the top. Let me jump in here, lest you think that this is all perfect. It's not perfect. It's really good, but it's not perfect. I don't care about perfect. That is not my goal. My goal is to get things to fit well. And sometimes if you make them too perfect, quote unquote, then they don't fit well. So you got to think about, we want to be tight. Tight is right, but we also have to be able to assemble the thing. I love these things, man. I love these things. Right? And I just have to say it again, the MVP goes to those SDWS timber screws. They make our life easy. Can you please stop commenters on social media? Yes, in today's day and age, framers should use screws.
Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man. Give a sense of scale for this wall. That is outstanding.
Code requires that we fasten our bottom plate or sole plate into something solid in the floor 12 inches on center. Now I can't do that because I'm framing 24 inches on center, and we don't want to nail between studs, we want to nail next to studs. By nailing next to the studs, which stack over the joist, I'm hitting the joist in the floor. Then I nail the bottom plate 6 inches on center through the subfloor into the Roseburg rigid rim, that's LVL rim. This way, all of my nails hit something solid, I don't have squeaks down the road, and if I have a few more nails, who cares? That's not a bad thing. You know what's a bad thing? Being cheap. In the video linked above, my brother and I talked about what are the pros and cons of advanced framing and balloon framing. Well, here's one of the cons,
just the right spot.
is it's up high. And so thankfully we have the basket, but we have to get up high, right, to connect all of this stuff. And it's not just like getting on a 9-foot ladder or getting on a 7-foot ladder on a 9-foot wall and nailing off top plates. There's more to it. We need to stitch up the corners, all of that stuff, tie the soffits together. But again, we save so much time. There is an element that increases the risk, but if we manage it, to me, it's like flying. There's always the risk that we will all die, but it happens fairly rarely.
Okay. Is, because we're down a little bit lower, is there's the block line. Nice and tight. Oh yeah. I can see that. Wow, that looks so good. This guy's, so let's check a couple things. Now that we've got a sight line, so we're just a little out of level, and you guys held that back a half, so I don't want to tighten that up too much. I mean, dude, you know what I wish we had is a little, oh yeah, we do. Because this is held off by a 1/2 inch. I never like to run this out because we got no slop. So essentially I can just button everything up pretty tight. This will just mean I can really tighten this thing up. You know, a little nicer than what I'm doing. And then the fascia line is just going to come out past it. Get rid of, smash up my keep shining myself in the face. Do you know how to do SOS?
This file film, man, we don't learn that
Oh,
stuff.
that's true. Your army. I don't know why I'm laughing at that. Okay, so the other thing I'll just quickly check.
Pretty nice.
It's 1311, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that side, the wall just didn't sit down flat enough. That big wall, too. I can press down on this guy. I'm going to go right in the middle. If you pull up, I'll pull down. Yeah. And I'm going to kind of watch the soffits underneath. Come on, Timmy. You can do it. Okay, and so if you look underneath, that is not bad, man. That is not bad. Gun down! Gun down! Well, we won't tell anybody about that. That ain't the first time. It won't be the last time. We were just looking at everything going, look how amazing we are.
Yeah,
And we murdered a gun. Hey, not bad for some prefab. You guys are pretty fabulous for prefabbers. So we're up in these, what is this, Cornerstone Industries man basket. So I just want to explain a little further. Our soffit framing nails through the sheathing into the plate, so we always have a 1/2 inch gap. Thanks, Kyle. Meaning that we're always going to have a 1/2 inch gap here. But we found a piece of siding on the platform. We pinch it in there and then we screw it tight here. And then we nail it off. Let me just show you. This one, that one was about 1/4 off. This one's dead on the money. That is a thing of beauty, dude. Excellent operating down there by that guy. Oh, I couldn't tell what he was doing. He was doing the finger guns. All right, so now we're just gonna stitch up this thing and tape it off.
Order of operations then on the big walls is lift it, anchor it down to the line exactly where you want it to go. When you lift in the intersecting wall, that's where the screws really shine, is they pull everything tight. Once it's tight and you like where it goes, now we can nail off the sheathing, keeping in mind that we held the sheathing out 5.5 to catch the next wall. Since we had to go down to pick up the nail gun that we dropped, then we nail it as we go up. Now I'm going to give Brandon a tutorial on really how to get the nicest tape job on the corners.
Definitely tell when you're hitting LVL. I just find for me, if I go a little longer increments, especially when I have nice panels with the dots, is I can put tension on it. So what we found is that if we end up kind of doing that, you get less wrinkling. I guess I was a little generous on this side, but I got my 1 inch over here. But this could save you trip going up and down if we do basically both. Step on the controller. That I can still reach that before I move him. And then of course we're going to be a little too close, but we can have him move. And I'm kind of keeping some downward tension with my right hand. And then it looks pretty good. But then it kind of wraps this corner pretty well without getting wrinkles. But I think the first time we did a house was 2009. So I've been folding tape a long time.
Yeah.
But it's easy. But now we don't have to go back to the top. And then just back up a little. Let me move that too. Yeah, go for it.
Battery level is low.
Battery low?